I'm Woke. I'm your host, Emelina Calder. In today's video, I'm going to take you through 7 tips for spiritual dating. Some like real world advice and spiritually channeled advice and totally integrated and experienced through my experience through my life. So it's very integrated. It's very digestible advice. So hi, welcome. If you're new to my world, my name is Emelina Calder. I'm a spiritual coach, a high performance coach, an AKASHIC Records reader, practitioner, a psychic medium. What else do I do? I'm a shaman, a life coach, and a personal branding coach. You know, all the things. I do so many things. I am ridiculously multi-talented. So if you're new to my world, hi. Go hit that subscribe button. You're gonna love my channel. I post on spiritual development and personal development videos. I'm also gonna be pumping up the dating, the romantic side of relationships, and videos around that, because I am actually really great with relationships and explaining them and understanding them and helping people move through them and understand their value and what they need and be in very harmonious relationship with other humans. You know, it's so hard, right? Like when you're human, I love talking like this because people are like, are you an alien? I'm like, yes. Hi. But like, I think we just think humans in general at the collective level think in terms of like conflict. And like, I have to win this over, or I have to chase this person, or I have to get this thing. Hi, sweetheart. You know, and it's like, you really don't. Like, you can be harmonious with everything and everyone, and whether it's a soulmate, or whether it's a temporary lover, or whether it's a family dynamic. Like, relationships can be balanced in dynamic harmony based on what you know about yourself, your own personal needs, your priorities, your values, what you understand, what you need, and how good you are at describing that to other people and setting boundaries. So that's my whole scoop there. I do also have a link in the description below for you to grab a hold of my Akashic Records training for free, where you can learn how to tap into your own Akashic Records, your soul blueprint, and start doing that through a meditation practice. I take you through a really easy bunch of steps. It's an 8-part video series. It's a number of hours, a beautiful free training I really think you're gonna love and adore. And then let's jump right in. So I've got my little Post-it note here, my card. So number 1 in spiritual dating is understanding your priorities and your values. So I know most people think about this like creating a checklist for like what they want in another person. I'm not saying that's not the vibe, but for me, it's not. Like, I feel like I just, at some point, I did put some sort of a list together and I gave it up to God and I was like, you handle it. I'm gonna go live my human life over here. I'm sure you got this under control. More what I think about in terms of whether or not it's romantic even, I do this with my friendships and everyone that is present in my life, but it's really important for romantic relationships, is understanding your priorities and your values. I'm trying to think about where to take that. You know, I feel like it's good to understand for yourself and then to ask other people as well, like, what does your life look like in 5 to 10 years? Where do you see yourself going? When you answer that question for yourself and when other people answer it for you, it tells you what they prioritize the most in their time, where they want to go, where they're going to be investing their energy. So I think that's a beautiful question to reflect on and to ask the people that you are considering dating more long term. I don't know if it's a first date question, a 4th date question. I don't know those specifics, but I know that when it feels right, it's a good time to bring it up. Another question I would ask is like, and this is for yourself and for others, it's just good to know roughly where other people sit. These are just easy questions to ask to find other people's values or priorities as well as your own. There are many ways you can go about this. I'm just giving you one suggestion. Another way of going about it is saying, like, if you had a magic wand and you could wave that magic wand and change any one thing about your life right now overnight, what would that be? What would happen? What would change? You can even say like, what 3 things would you change? And that'll show you really clearly what challenges you and them are working through, where the struggles are, and where the opportunity is for something to turn around, where they want their energy to be in transformation around. I think these things are just really, really positive and really valuable. I would say more focus on this for yourself. You really want to know your priorities and your values so that you can know when someone in front of you is compatible or not. And you're not going to know if you don't know what's important to you. So I think 3 categories of values are really great to have in your mind for yourself. So like, I mean, I'll be really, should I be transparent? Hold on. My guides have been like schooling me on a couple things, so I'm just going to check in. Nope, they're telling me no. That's why they piped in. Okay, so I'll hold that back. Okay, so know your priorities, know your values. When I think about values, I'm thinking less about like material things, because I kind of expect people to have their material life kind of figured out, at least to some level. And I'm thinking more in terms of like personal growth. Like, is that a value of yours? Are you going to be complacent in relationship? Are you going to like really book it and move through everything that you want to do to expand in a really beautiful way? What else, you guys? Bring some other things to mind. I don't know. Right now, that's what we're going to go with, okay? Here's what I'd say. Number 2 is being really clear with your non-negotiables. I feel like people make a list of things that they want, and they're like checking off this checklist of their perfect partner, which I think is wonderful. Put the list out to the universe and then let it go and let the universe bring you your actual perfect partner, which can show up in many different packages. And sometimes you have to get through many different people, or as one of my friends says, kiss a lot of toads before you get your prince. So be available for the process as well. You know, God, spirit, universe, infinite intelligence is going to look out for you. I'm very trusting of my process and the imperfection of it, assuming that the imperfection is there for me to get clear on who I am, my value, what I want, and really being able to expand. I really grow in relationships. I see relationships as growth modules. Without them, I don't know that I really explode into like my next chapter, so I kind of need them. I think a lot of people are like that and just don't talk about it. Anyway, so I would create a list of non-negotiables. All right. Because this will give you, so when we create the list of the positive things we're looking for in our dating world, dating life, romantic life, that's really great because you'll know when you're steering like forward into the light with that person. But then you need to know your non-negotiables, because that's, if you see that that's like the darkness in someone, if that darkness is present and it's a non-negotiable for you and you don't have a list of non-negotiables, you're not gonna be able to recognize it to filter them out. So I think non-negotiables are really, really important. And that really is a very personal thing. I don't even know if I can give you guys examples. It's just like, maybe I can. What are non-negotiables in relationship? A non-negotiable for me is giving without reciprocity. I am an endless giver. Endless. And if I'm not in a level of relationship with another giver, then shit gets real one-sided real fast. And I know that about myself. So it's a non-negotiable for me. I have a lot of ways of seeing and observing in people whether or not they have the same capacity to give as I do, because I'm not going to tone back my light to meet someone else in a romantic relationship. So, you know, it's up to you to be able to see and observe. And if you haven't seen the last video I posted, it's kind of like a longer workshop oriented read. I will post the link below so that you can understand that, you know, when you're, I'm like, where's my little list? Maybe I'll just go into it. Hold on. Okay, so, and then I'll jump back into my steps here. So your steps in like dating, conscious dating, especially for women, are creating an invitation. That's number 1. 2 is being available for participation and allowing participation from the other person. The 3rd thing is observance. So after you've created an invitation and you've engaged and had some level of participation, watch the participation. How much is there? How much isn't? How much engagement is available? Like, are they participating? Are you participating? What do those agreements look like for you? What feels good? What doesn't? And then being able to refine that is number 4. Like, after you're observing, look at the interactions and then edit and decide, like, I need more of this, I need less of this. You know, this is too much communication for me. I need to dial it back. I need to see you a little bit less, not because I don't like you, but because I'm busy AF. Or like, you know, I want to see you more. I want to hear from you more. I need more communication. Actually, these are my core needs. And it's being able to very openly and fluidly communicate your needs, expect those needs to be met. And if that's not the right person, to be totally okay with that. Like, some people can't be flexible on certain things, but it doesn't remove your ability to meet your own needs. And this is what people say by having high standards. Having high standards is just knowing your non-negotiables, knowing what you need to feel confident, secure, and emotionally available and attached in a secure way in a relationship, and then allowing yourself to have those things. You know, some of us, I feel like with the attachment styles, a lot of us go in and out of some different attachment styles, and then like fall into some level of secure. But the thing is if you're in front of a romantic partner that has an attachment style that's very triggering or aggravating for you, and you can typically be secure, you'll be thrown into an insecure attachment style because it's being pulled out of you. So it's literally like, and none of these things are bad. It's literally always just watching and observing, see how you act, see how you interact, see how the other person acts and interacts, and then make decisions based on what feels secure and what feels healthy and what feels like something that you want to participate in. So being clear with your non-negotiables. I'm trying to think of some other examples. Substance use is something that could be a non-negotiable, depending on who you are. What else? For some people, it's religious beliefs. I don't know. You guys are going to know. What are some more subtle non-negotiables? The reciprocity is a big non-negotiable for me. Open affection is like a non-negotiable for me. Like, I need I need affectionate men around me. If they're not affectionate, like I can't engage. It's a core need I have. Like, and I've tried to get around that in the past, because there are lots of wonderful men that are just not as affectionate, and it just bypasses my own needs because I truly need that love and affection in that way. So that's just like a quick example. Like, there are different ways of non-negotiables. Like, when we think about non-negotiables, we probably think more surface level. I'm trying to encourage you to think about like your love language, like how you receive love, how you give love. You know, I don't know, like if we think about standard traditional values, a lot of people are like, oh, the non-negotiables are they need to cook, or they need to be 6 feet tall, or like, I don't know, like have whatever you want. But for me, I'm pretty flexible on everything except for like how I give and receive love. And how my value is seen and perceived, and how my value can be used or leveraged in relationship. I'll try to think about how to explain that, because I think that's a really high value relationship piece. I feel the most fulfilled when I can really like be all of myself, which involves participation in someone else's growth. I really like it. My last long-term relationship, we were super, super personal growth oriented, and I need that. That's something that I really thrive in. So if I were to, this is literally just an example for you guys, like if I were to go into a relationship with someone that's not obsessed with personal and spiritual development, like it's not going to go well. It'll go well for a second, and then I'll feel like I can't do what I need to do in my life, because part of what I do is that level of giving and assistance and the reciprocity of that. So that's like another quick example. I'm just bringing this forward for ways to think about relationship or different ideas, because I think a lot of dating culture, even a lot of spiritual dating culture and spiritual dating advice, as beautiful as it is, kind of skips some of these more subtle, nuanced values that they just get skipped over. And I actually found more recently, like it's the primary method of how I make my decisions in dating. And I was like, oh, I need to share this. This is going to add a ton of value into like this overall collective conversation. Number 3, I'm trying to think of it. No, it's fine. Okay. Number 3 is attraction. So I think it's good to meditate on or make a list or just think about and start to observe yourself. What are you attracted to and why? I think a lot of attraction is on subconscious, automatic, unconscious autopilot. And I think if we really inspect a lot of what we are attracted to, almost like it's a ball, they're showing me like a knot of yarn, and it's like, okay, this is attraction. It's like, all right, I'm attracted to you because, and then we're usually like, I don't know, it must be the way you look. Or for someone like me, it's like, oh, I'm attracted to you because that soul connection, because I can feel it. But then it's like, okay, well, if we look at that ball of yarn that's in the subconscious and you start to pull apart each strand of attraction, like what makes me attracted? Because attraction is not all good. It's not all bad. It just is. It's just based on what pulls that subconscious chemistry out of you and what you're attracted to. Obviously, we can be attracted to toxic patterns. I've been inspecting the F out of my own. And I'm like, wow, like if you've pulled it into your life, you're attracted to it. So that's something to sit with as well. You know, the shadow will create a whole mess of attractions. That we might say, I'm not attracted to that. Then you keep attracting it. It's like, oh, okay, what's the need? What am I actually attracted to here? And it's usually like the need for, they're showing me the way the shadow works. It's like a need for, there's that push-pull. How would I explain that in terms of attraction? I would say a need for chemistry, a need for passion. So if there's an intense need for passion, how do you get that need met? That need could be met through insecure attachment styles, a lack of communication, insecurity within the self because you're not sure how to act in front of someone because they're not giving you a secure base of interest. You know, there's so many different aspects of this conversation, and I think what's different about how I approach dating, how I approach relationships as a coach in general is I don't deny anything, and I'm not going to tell you or anyone else to go fix themselves because I don't really believe that's a thing either. I think if you have an insecure attachment style, I feel like it can be worked with consciousness by just accepting parts of yourself. And if you like those parts of yourself and they're working for you, great. If they're not, then make some changes. But there's no shame in any of the way. If you want to develop a more secure attachment style, I think we are all moving forward towards more secure attachment styles. I don't feel like it has to be anchored and really worked on heavily into place, because I even think that is literally an insecure attachment style, to think that you need to work hard to get secure. So I think in terms of like this very vast, I'm very good at taking a really bird's eye view of consciousness and understanding, like, if you drill into one problem and really focus on it, it kind of sometimes defeats the purpose, you know. And I do believe in a very gentle way of coming about internal change and shifting into your next version of yourself, your next identity, your highest version of yourself. And I think a lot of that is done through positive reinforcement, through gentle softening, massaging your energy, working through new ideas without being aggressive about them. I feel like it's more like trying new ideas on and then saying, how would that feel? What is that? Like, how would it feel if I was actually in a secure attachment style? And just sometimes I go into insecure attachment styles because I'm human, and because there are a lot of people that are insecure, and maybe they're pulling out insecurities in me. And maybe those insecurities are real, but maybe I'm actually pretty secure. Or maybe those insecurities need to be inspected, and maybe I need to do some journaling. You're going to know for yourself. Trust your own intuition. So anyway, when it comes to attraction, I would make a list and get to know you. What are you attracted to and why? I don't know. I think it's really, really important. Another thing I'll throw on my list, for example, because I think the example would serve a lot of women out there, is that I'm attracted to respect. Like, guys that respect me, I'm just like, wow, like, great. And I think that's really hot. You know, it's literally like, write down the things that you are actually attracted to, and then write down the things on another list, like a shadow list, that you're attracted to, that you're not thrilled about being attracted to. And I'm not going to give examples for that. And then go through like a meditation and read each line and just say, does this fit? Does this feel good? Is this accurate? And then edit, refine, and make adjustments as you go. That will create a lot of clarity in your consciousness and in your ability to magnetically attract a partner that is, or a lover that is actually congruent with who you are, what you want, and your needs. And I think all of that is immensely valuable and important. All right. Don't hate me on this one. I'm just the messenger, but it's very real. Number 4 is the fairy tale is not real. Now, I want to touch on this in 2 ways, because the fairy tale is real, but it's not real. Okay, so I want to talk on both components. When I say the fairy tale is not real, I think that everyone I have ever met, including myself, has placed this like one and only relationship on some sort of a pedestal. And then we're not sure if it's the right person in front of us or what have you that we're trying to connect with romantically, because it's like, but in my mind, they should act exactly like this. And, you know, if they really loved me, they would treat me like this. And, you know, if the universe sent this in, whatever the terms are, because when we think about relationship, this is cultural programming. And it's also just how we are as humans when we visualize it, and in the 5D. So for those of you that are highly psychic and telepathic and empathic and you're getting all these downloads, the downloads come through with such a level of fantasy perfection, because when we're communicating with other people's higher selves, the higher self doesn't come with a shadow, you guys. There's no like, I mean, the shadow is very light for a higher self. It's nothing like our human shadow. It's like the shadow isn't being communicated usually as much. You can tap into it. I have before, but it's not usually what's communicated through the ether. What you're seeing is the best of that person. What you're receiving in the downloads is their top tier talent, which is easy to communicate etherically through the dream space, etc. The second you drop into reality, this is why I say the dream's not real. It is real because the connection is real. But when you get into the world of human, I think a lot of people think that relationships have to look perfect, or they have to line up seamlessly, or there is very little challenge, or it's easy to get into good soulmate relationships. Can it be? Yes. My experience is that they're not. It might be that my experience is more twin flame oriented, because those tend to be a lot more challenging. And maybe some of you are in a little more easeful soulmate relationships, and that's wonderful. And maybe those are more easy. I'm not sure. I think I am sure. I think that is the case, but you know, I'm working it through. Anyway, so you guys always see me in my process, and I'm always changing my mind because I'm always getting new downloads, new discoveries, and new content from my channel, from source. So my point is, when you get into the physicality of what it is to be human, something that did look very fantasy oriented, whether it's someone you have in mind or whether it's an idea of a person that you've been creating for yourself or calling in or manifesting, when it shows up, and I've heard this in countless times too in soulmate relationships, like across the board, when it shows up, it's likely going to be messy. Because humans are messy, and that's just the reality. Like, when you're dealing with another human, you're dealing with their light, yes, which is beautiful and wonderful. You're also dealing with their shadow. You're also dealing with their trauma and their wounding and their attachment styles and their life, their lifestyle, like whatever they've got going on, whatever they've lived until now. And you're effectively dating everyone they've ever dated before. It's literally like they bring all of the drama to the table with you. And it's not, there's nothing bad about this. I just wish more people spoke about it. And I realized I talk like this with my friends, and I was like, why don't I start talking like this on YouTube and start just opening up and cracking open the conversation? Like, things can be highly spiritual, highly channeled, really beautiful, like really matched up with the soul maker that, with the matchmaker that God is, and can be very messy. So with that, I want to talk to the codependent side of most women, or even people in general, also men, where it's like, stop waiting like a damsel is the gentle call out. Like, there's no There's no like, you're not gonna, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna be saved one day and then there's gonna be no challenge or no struggle. Like it's like, I don't know, that's the archetype that's like sold the most in our culture overall, that I feel like is really programmed at the subconscious level of the minds of everyone. Also men, because the men are holding, in their own feminine body within themselves, they're holding this idea that they're broken in their feminine and they need to be saved. And then the women that they attract have to actually be able to save and nurture them, which turns them into mother roles, which kills all chemistry, by the way, if you want to know. Those of you that need that level of care really need mothers. Like when you project that on your lover, you destroy all chemistry and polarity. Vice versa as well with the father wounding. And then where else is I going with that? Bring it back, you guys. The damsel and the savior. Now, it's not to say you can't have a good relationship from that place, and a lot of relationships do start there. My last relationship started in a high level of trauma and conflict because it had to. I didn't have a way out. I'm not going to explain it, but it's just like, you know, you're given the cards, you're given a set of cards, right? Like you're given a play from the universe, and the universe is like, see what you can do with this. It's beautiful. These are soulmate relationships. See what you can do with it. What can you work with? And figure out how you grow in the process, because relationships are all about growth. I don't know. I mean, maybe some people are stagnant in relationship. I've never really aligned with that. Nor do I have anyone in my immediate realm that has. So I'm not sure about that. But anyway, the point is, it's like, let life be messy. I really needed to hear this a few years ago. Because when I exited my last relationship, because that was messy, I was like, oh, I'm going into something cleaner. And like that, yes, but also I totally was avoidant of everything messy. I was like, if it's a mess, I'm out. Like, anyway, I've learned a lot in the process, but it's like, I want to speak to the core heart of many of you, both genders. Like it really is messy. It is. Twin flame relationships are even messier. They're very messy. So for those of you that feel like you're on a twin flame journey, or intense soulmate relationships, deep soulmate relationships, very closely tied to your soul frequency, those are messier. The closer the relationship, the soul bond, the messier it is, typically. Not all of the time, but I'd say a lot of the time, because when you're in an intense spiritual connection, you can't run from yourself because they're mirroring you. So essentially, it's almost like every trigger, every wound, every light aspect of yourself, every unclaimed desire, every dream, everything is just highlighted. It's amplified. So then everything is in your face. And that is frequently a mess until you figure out how to refine it. It's just like painting, like you guys have been seeing me painting. You know, when you're starting off the base of a painting, it's messy. And then you're adding a new couple layers, like it's messy. And then you refine each layer and refine and refine and refine. And then you come out with something really, really, really beautiful. And that beautiful thing is going to be your relationship. So, okay, that's on the fairy tale. Also, I want to say one more thing on that. The other aspect of fairy tale is people think that they can stay who they are right now and receive their dream girl or dream guy, like their dream partner. Absolutely not. Like, you're gonna have to change. You will, and by when I say that, I mean you will be changed in the process. If you were the person that could have your dream partner right now, you would have them right now. Obviously, this is for single people. You know, it's it's allowing yourself to be changed in the process. The universe is gonna change you. You're gonna have to switch up how you do things, how you perceive, your willingness to try new things or to set more boundaries, depending on which side of the equation you're on, you know, which side of the balance beam. Okay, what else do I want to say? Number 5 is know yourself, know your value, and know your romantic value. I want to split this up into 3 ways. Excuse me. So when I say know yourself, you really have to know who you are, what's important to you, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And on top of weaknesses, vulnerabilities. I feel like I've been playing with that one a lot Not just being vulnerable, like that's great, but no, your true vulnerabilities, weaknesses where people can take advantage and hurt you because you don't even know you have them, right? They're like blind spots. So know yourself. You know the part, just get really in touch with your true authentic self, behind the masks, behind the mirrors, behind the ego. Like, who are you? How do you function? What's the best of you? What's the worst of you? Like, really get to know yourself. The second aspect of that is knowing your value. And your value is you are truly worthy to receive as you are now without changing a single effing thing. Like, you are worthy of love from the position that you are now. I know a lot of people think about relationship from the place of having to fix themselves to then get into a conscious relationship. I know that I have been that way. What I will say is that's not an end-all be-all case. In fact, if you want to get into a relationship before you have fully healed a lot of different aspects of yourself, there are so many, it just depends on where you want to enter a relationship. It's up to you. It's up to your higher self and how you want to do it. But if you want more support and you're not totally healed and you want to heal through relationship, which relational healing is how we heal, you can manifest and call in a partner that has the ability to hold the space for you to heal through it. I know a lot of friends, a number of friends that have done that. They healed their trauma through the other person holding the space for them. Maybe I did that in my last relationship. I've taken the last few years to really just like clean house within myself. And I've done my healing solo for the most part. And then, yeah, but you can do either way. I'm more saying this to anchor that you don't have to fix yourself to find the right partner. You can actually soften and relax into the place of being so self-approving now that someone could meet you in the space now to be there to witness your healing in real time. That requires a different level of surrender rather than surrendering to source like, oh, I'm going to move through my own personal growth process. You're surrendering to source through the other person, which is a whole nother set of personal challenges of assuming whether or not you're worthy of the love that's being given to you, because you're probably not yet in the place of thinking that you deserve it yet. But they do. It's why they're holding the space for you. So that's a whole thing around understanding your value. Your value really is rooted in you being lovable as you are right now. Complete self-acceptance. You're deserving of beautiful, unconditional love in every way. And then what I want to say is there's understanding your romantic value. I feel like this gets skipped over a lot with people. I know that I've like bypassed my own. Part of us understanding our value, you know, some of the confidence in relationship is understanding why we're so flipping amazing in relationship. And I'm saying this because a lot of parts of ourselves are only seen in relationship with romantically with another human and aren't seen publicly out in the world. And only you will know those values, your inherent romantic value. Like, I don't know, I've been reflecting on this and I think it's really, really important to feel secure in relationship by understanding your own romantic value. So like when you enter a relationship, if you're going into a long-term partnership, this is how I like to think about it. What is that person gonna be like? Holy F, I can't believe I got that? I got that. What? You're bringing what into this relationship? That's amazing. Like, I didn't even know, have you been hiding that? Like that sort of vibe. I never tell people openly what that is for me. I kind of just hold it back because I know it's so, like, you guys will be on the table with me, very similar with me about this. I saw 3344 on the timer for the angel numbers, so that number is significant for someone. I typically hold all these aspects back from myself because I know how effing valuable they are, and I don't want the wrong men chasing me down the street. Now, what I thought to myself recently is like, actually, I could be much more forward about my romantic value, and it would make me feel more secure in relationship. And now I trust myself to not attract the wrong people, because if they end up in my sphere, I've got filters for myself to kick them out, which I'll explain as another step as well. But understand your romantic value. So let me think about how to explain this for you guys. This is like, If you were to sit and reflect on whether you're a man or a woman, because everyone has this value within themselves. They do. It's just a matter of reflecting and aligning with what your romantic value is. And obviously it's different for everyone. But whatever it is for you is going to be what your ideal partner wants. And they probably don't even know to ask for it, if I'm going to be totally honest. So for some people, I've heard this one a lot, like their dream person is like a chef and like cooks amazing foods and like whatever. For some people, their dream person is someone that travels endlessly and frequently, and is open and curious in that way. For some people, their dream person is endlessly sexual and is placing the sexuality as a complete priority on the relationship. For some people, that priority is going to be family. It's going to be family-centered values. It's going to be building a family. There are so many different romantic values. And if you're not familiar with your personal romantic value, as you're dating, you're going to be insecure. But if you know what you got, you feel a lot more secure sitting across from someone, because you're like, you don't even know what you're talking to right now. You don't even know what I'm hiding behind the scenes, what I got that you're going to be like floored with. I don't know if I said this yet. Did I say this part? It's like if you were... This is the prompt, the journal prompt I would give you. If I was everyone's dream girl, or if I was everyone's dream man, like what would that be? What aspects of myself would be the dream for someone else? Would be like freaking candy. Would be like, holy shit, I hit the jackpot for the other person. And I would journal that out. I really feel like what that does is it brings your own self-reflection into alignment with your real core value of what you offer in relationship. And I think you'll find that when you walk into an interaction or a date from that place of understanding your romantic value, like you're going to be naturally magnetic, both women and men. You're going to be naturally centered and focused within your own energy. You're going to be naturally very attractive. Because you're holding the energy of the value within yourself. Like, this is my value. And here's the deal. Everybody's values are different. So, like, let me just check in with my guides before I give you that example. Hold on. Okay, they're like having me bypass it. I'm having to check in more because there's some things I'm not sure if I should touch on or not. But it's like, let me think, more on romantic value. I think it's really about being able to understand your value and see the value in others. I feel like where we trip up romantically, specifically in this day and age, in this society, you know, dating apps are cool because they connect us all to each other. They're also complete nonsense because they train us subconsciously to treat people like they're disposable. And if you're swiping and thinking subconsciously people are disposable, you're thinking you're disposable. And if you think you're disposable, subconsciously, again, I'm not saying consciously, if you're thinking you're disposable subconsciously, which most of these apps train us to believe in one way or another, then you're going to approach dates, interactions, engagements, and relationships in a way where you assume you're disposable, in a way where you assume the other person's disposable. Essentially, it's approaching relationship from the place of distance rather than from the place of intimacy or closeness. It's approaching it from the place of like, what can I reject about this person? What can I reject about myself? What's wounded? Instead of from the place of, what's of value in front of me? What's of value within me? What do I love? Yeah, there might be some shit here. There's shit with everybody. But what do I love? What do I love about this person right now? I don't even have to ask myself that. Like, literally, I have like a autopilot now with my soul. When I'm sitting in front of someone, I can see their soul. I can feel their heart. And I can see it through their eyes. And like, it's so obvious to me. the value that's present. I think that trips a lot of people up because people are assuming that people around them are basic or they're assuming that they are basic themselves, and then they treat everyone like they're basic, which when you're running around assuming everybody's the same or a cut and paste carbon copy of each other, like the way a feminine should be, the way a masculine should be, whatever, it's like you miss the whole point of all of this, which is to explore and discover yourself and others through relationship, through others. Like every moment carries a big package of love. And like, how available are you for that, to receive it and to give it? You know, I've been on dates on both sides where it's like, I don't know, like one I went on kind of recently was interesting because like I could tell very clearly, like I was very present. I was seeing the love in the other person. And I was like, wow, it was a really beautiful interaction, but they were stuck in their own perceived notions of what they thought the interaction should have been, to the point where they couldn't get out of it. And I was like, you know, from my perspective, my love is unconditional. I really work hard to be an unconditionally loving vessel. So I'm not going to fix them in that moment. I'm not even going to point it out. I'm just like going to flow with the way that I flow. And if that's the interaction they need, that's what they get. Like I give it back up to source. You know, I had a good time regardless. So it's being able to be open enough to see people's true value and your own true value, which requires vulnerability, honestly, in the moment. Okay. I've got 2 more tips for you guys. We're running through. Okay, number 6, I would say, is filter your experience. And this can go one of 2 ways. A lot of people in dating are not open enough. They're filtering everybody through their checkbox list. If a guy is not 5'11" or taller, they're not even considering them. If they're of a certain ethnic heritage, they're not considering them. If they don't have a certain amount of money, they're not considering them. There are way too many things that I think are very superficial. Now, maybe this is just me, but I think this is spirit working through me. Some of you guys need to entertain shorter men. Like, honestly, like, if you're filtering people based on height, like, do you want to be filtered? I guess I'm talking to women right now at the moment, but it's like, do you want to be filtered based on your weight? Well, don't filter based on height. I mean, you can if you want, like, no shame. You guys know me, like, I will not judge. I am just here to like rustle some feathers, get you to think about yourself and your experience so that you can reflect, refine, come back, and feel safe, secure, and centered in yourself and attract what you want into your life. Also, I will give that joke up to my friend Freddie, who will probably not see this video. He will not see this video, but like literally he said that to me the other day. I was like, do you believe like all these people are being filtered on height? And he was telling me his experience in dating in the past. And then he was like, yeah, could you imagine if women were filtered on their weight? And I was like, oh my God. It's so legit. Anyway, that's one of those value for value things. Do you know your value? Can you tell the value of someone else? Like if you're going to be so superficial to think that, and I'm not saying to not follow, to not pull people into your life that you're attracted to physically. And if you really need somebody 6 feet taller, 6'5", like I've dated, I think most of the guys I've dated are over 6 feet, which is ironic because I'm very short. But I actually don't really care that much. It's just like that's a funny anomaly. Anyway, so it's like, you know, if it's a complete standard, then okay, go with it. But if it's something that can be flexible, maybe think to yourself, like, what actually is important to me? So for example, let me just redefine some of the collective consciousness around this. Rather than thinking they have to be exactly this height, and have this eye color, maybe think like this. I'd like someone really active because I like to be active and I want to feel like I can be active whenever I want without being judged. Activity levels are a really important consideration in relationship that I don't know that enough people do consider. Because if you're super active and your partner's not and you end up in a relationship, that's going to hold back your level of activity through time. Or you'll feel like you're dragging them with you. And they're not going to like it either, honestly. So a lot of this comes down to compatibility. So anyway, okay, so all of that on the filtering is to say, like, some people aren't open enough, as in, like, they're very superficial about how they're filtering through their experiences and people that are could be partners for them. Now, I'm going to go the other way, because I actually think a lot of empaths are going this way on the scale, is that for people like me, you're so goddamn likable that you attract a lot of attention. And then you have to learn how to kindly reject people. You have to learn how to know which attention is right for you and which is not, because you're just getting a lot of it. And I know there are empaths and those that were people pleasers, have been people pleasers. We get a lot of attention because we know how to work a room. We're very amicable. Those that are charismatic, right? Like, you're gonna get a lot more attention. So when you're in the place of you have lots of options and you're very open, like, I used to not have that many filters on the types of people I would date. Like, for a very long time, I was like, I don't have a type. It's taken me a long time to realize I do have a type, like, or a couple of types maybe, as I've looked through my experience and kind of like filtered through it. But for years, I'd be like, there is no type for me. Like, love is my type. Anyway, but I do have, what do you call it? Preferences on attraction styles, or like certain things I like or don't like. Physically and emotionally. Anyway, so yeah, when you're in the space of like being so likable, it's almost like your energy's overly available. Those of you that were raised by narcissists, we have been trained to be overly available. So if you're in that category, generally you have to filter through faster. So it's like, be more of yourself, show more of who you are authentically, because it will naturally filter the people around you. You'll naturally reject the people that don't belong anywhere near you, and you'll naturally attract the ones that will love you. And that helps so that you don't waste your time or anyone else's time, and I think that's really important. And then number 7, is this, I'm gonna say this in a couple of ways. It's like this idea of the one where people like over dramatize it or make it like such a problem. How do I explain this? Most people are not nailing the relationships out of the gate with like one soulmate partner that is that life partner for their whole life. I haven't been married, but I was in an 11-year relationship. It's roughly the same thing. And I don't demean myself for that relationship. I don't see any error or problem with it. I literally see it as a transition. I changed. My values changed. The person that I was dating changed. His values changed. So it's like, what a beautiful celebration to have, to then just change. You can change relationships. One of my spirit guides is an elf, and he would say to me, he's like, if you were an elf and you lived for 1,000 years, like there's many relationships. So it's much more playful, like, oh, okay, I'm learning this and this relationship, and then I'm going to shift and change and grow and learn this and this relationship. And however long those periods of life are for us, great, whatever. But I think a lot of people look at like the divorce rate and look at the relationship rate and be like, these are unsuccessful relationships. And it's like, maybe, or I'm going to take my bird eye approach again, because I tend to be a very open vessel for spirit, or they're great. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Maybe they're not failed relationships. Maybe they're just fucking relationships. Like, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people could see my last relationship as a failed relationship. I don't even think my ex looks at it that way. Literally, like, we're just like, it was just a relationship. It was beautiful for a while it lasted. It was challenging for a while it lasted. There was shit going on while it lasted. We all feel all the things. And we were able to uncouple it and be amicable about it. Maybe that's where people get stressed out when they think it's a failure. It's probably not amicable. But even that is like beautiful in itself as well, because it allows you to set boundaries and understand yourself and create a new level of closure outside of the relationship. But I love to take the stigma out of things, and relationships are one of the things I would take the stigma out of. I don't see any problem with failed relationships, because I don't think they're actually failed relationships. I think they're growth modules. I think it's like if you were to be in elementary school and then you get to middle school or high school, and if you were in high school, you look back at elementary school and you go, that was failed growth because I wasn't in high school. It's like, well, hello. Of course you weren't in high school. You were 8 years old. Like, you know, there are different phases for different patterns and different maturity of growth. In those different phases and those different maturity levels within our lives, we attract different partners. It's highly I mean, I don't want to be a a negative person on this, but it, like, literally, if we look at and it's not even negative, if we look at the statistics, it's just highly unlikely to assume that you're going to have someone move through all of the phases of growth with you throughout your entire life and have one person to do that. Some people do have the joy of that response, and that is beautiful, but it's not the norm. Not only not the norm, I feel like holding that as a standard creates such a level of perfectionism that we then can't see the perfection of what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is the journey we're on now, the journey we selected, co-selected with our higher self. And part of that is understanding that whatever you're in, whatever relationship you've selected is beautiful and perfect as it is because you needed it. That's why you're attracted to it, and that's why you're selected to it, why you selected it. And then when it's time to release it, it's time to release it. And some of those are very long-term, long relationships. Some are shorter relationships. They're all okay. You know, we can take the stigma out of all of it. And with all of that, I want to say, understand what you want and then let God steer. Enjoy the process of relationship, of entering relationship, of exiting relationship, of being in the middle of relationship, of learning your value, of learning your boundaries, of learning how to meet someone else's needs, about learning how to speak your own needs. Like, it's all beautiful. And for those of you that don't know, I am very single right now, and I am very much a relationship person. Like, I don't think anyone in my life would be like, Emily is not a relationship person. Like, it is literally baked in me. I can speak to both sides of it. I am happily single. When I'm in relationship, I'm happily in relationship. Like, I understand relationship patterns. They are how I grow. They're of high value to me, whether or not they're anchored as in like a more permanent partner, or whether or not they're flowing interactions, shorter engagements. Like, I get a ton out of all of it. So anyway, where was I going to say on that? You know, trust the process, enjoy the process. You're going to get where you want to go. If you want a more long-term partner, you'll be given that. God's prepping you. Spirit is prepping you. You know, it's a lot of these questions spiritually too are, how do you want to grow in partnership? Some people grow better with a partner. Some people grow better apart. So it's like you deciding, like, what are the terms for engagement? You know, how do I explain this spiritually? It's like you're going to get where you want to get. You're going to go where you want to go. You're going to get into the relationship of your dreams if that's something that you want. The question is, how do you want to get there? For me, I've been enjoying the solo process. I can just process faster. My last relationship though, what time is it? Okay, hang on, you guys. One sec. Okay, we're back for a second, then I got split. Okay, so my last relationship, so the version of me that was 22, I think, maybe 23 years old, needed to do her growth in relationship. I needed to. I wasn't going to be able to do it solo. So I attracted a partner. And we worked through and did all that growth together. And then there's a point where we split apart. And then this next phase, I was like, I want to do this growth solo. And then there will be new growth going into relationship. Of course, I'm going to end up in relationship. Just, you know, we all go in and out of relationship. It's like, under what terms do you enter that relationship? I'll dive into this in another video. Because I think it's really important, but I don't know that Spirit has the exact downloads in a way that are going to be mentally communicated in the perfect way for you guys. But that's what I have to say there. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm going to be cracking open more romantic content, dating content, because I think it's really important, really valuable. I feel like relationships are the biggest spiritual teachers for all of us. They reflect us back to ourselves, our value back to ourselves. They reflect our expectations and our boundaries back to ourselves. They're incredible growth situations, and you receive love in all the ways, whether it's friendships, whether it's romantic relationships, everything and anything under the sun. I think relationship is a beautiful learning territory, so I'm going to be diving more into it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go like the video below. If you're new and you were diving on this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the bell for notifications so you don't miss any updates. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know if any of that resonated, if any of that was new, anything you are encountering as far as challenges or aspirations in your relationships, because I'd love to make more videos on this topic. I love you guys so much. If you enjoy my vibe and want to work with me, I'll leave some links in the description below. I am considering doing some more formal relationship coaching, and I have been doing relationship coaching in my Akashic Record sessions. If you want an Akashic Record session, it's about tapping into your soul blueprint. And we can go into soulmate contracts. I am very good at reading and understanding them. So anyway, I'll leave my email below. You can get more info there. And I think that's all I got for now. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Lots of love. Okay, love you. Bye.